This will be a little difficult to articulate. This post stems from something that happened yesterday, which I'll get into a bit later, that has sort of been a final straw for me. Whenever I try speaking to her about it, either I have lied about her doing certain things and she has done no wrong, Oregon. She will say, "Okay, sorry, I won't do it again." But she continues to act the same. I love my mom. We get on really well and can have some very deep conversations. It's a very caring and loving relationship. However, as has been the case since I was little, my mom always talks over me when I'm in a conversation with someone else. For instance, when at family gatherings, I'll be having a conversation with a relative, and if she happens to be right there, she'll interject on a question that she feels I can't answer adequately, and just start talking to them as if nothing has happened, and I get shut out of the conversation. A specific example that I can remember recently was my cousin was asking about my love life or something, and because I don't have a lot of experience, haven't had an official boyfriend yet, my mom just spoke over me, saying stuff like, "Oh yeah, she's had nothing serious, but da-da-da," and started sort of white lying, as if anything that I would have said would have been embarrassing or something. Another example is that when I go shopping with her, if I see a friend or someone I know, she can't just let me talk to them in peace on my own, especially if they are longtime friends. She'll just take over the conversation, and I can't tell her to be quiet or let me speak because she is my mother, and I'd most likely get yelled at. It's embarrassing. Also, when she sees someone in the shops that she knows from her younger years, someone who in actuality I don't really know, she'll get at me after the conversation that I don't speak or whatever. However, in relation to embarrassing me, in situations involving the opposite intimacy, she especially does this when I'm in possible flirty scenarios, or there are guys my age that are cute, etc., that I could talk to. That's why I hate being out with her sometimes, because it's like I revert back into this shy girl or something. I feel really uncomfortable flirting, etc., with my mom around, because she's always got something to say, for lack of a better phrase. Even when we go out to dinner or something and there's a cute guy, I just can't flirt because my mom is there and she's in my ear. Specifically last night's example. So we, brother, mom, and dad, were at a footy game last night. I have a thing for one of the players in the team I follow who happens to be a couple years older than me, so around my age. Won't say who, but he's gorgeous if I do say so myself. Now, I've mentioned this to my mom and she agrees, and we've made normal comments about him. So nothing out of the ordinary/bad. End of the game, a couple of the players came up to the fence, the crowd, and were taking photos, etc. We were 3 rows from the field, so very close. Mr. Footy Player was one of them, and he made his way down the fence, nearing us slowly. The issue for me is that the whole time, and quite loudly in my opinion, my mom was telling me, "Oh, you can do this. Oh no, wait, do this. Give off this vibe and this vibe, but don't do this, and look at him this way." This might not seem bad, but for the context of the situation, he is a bloody footy player, for God's sake. Additionally, he was really close to me, yet too far to be able to grab my phone or anything of the sort for a photo, etc. He was within yelling distance, though. When my mom carries on like this, she treats me like an absolute child. And if I do flirt, I just have to take her advice. Otherwise, I'll be unsuccessful. I understand I haven't been in any sort of relationship, but I think she thinks that I'm completely incompetent and have no idea how to flirt or do anything. Of course you wouldn't know, reader, but I definitely can flirt and have done it many times with the desired effect. I just haven't had a serious boyfriend. It's like she just can't shut up and let me do my thing. I'm a freaking adult flirting with another adult. Just observe or don't say anything, mate. The big issue that I'm hella embarrassed about, which I'm adamant no one from the crowd remembers, nor does Mr. Footy Player himself remember, as he didn't even look up, and was very mechanical, going through the motions of taking picture, next, is what I yelled out to him. My mom told me like 3 times to yell out a particular phrase to him, which I didn't want to yell out, but got pressured by her to yell. Of course, he didn't respond to it and probably thought upon hearing it. I was pretty loud, that he was getting harassed, if I'm being honest. I feel like I embarrassed myself severely. Also, it's not even about the footy player himself. I feel like that because she is my mom, I can't do anything about it. I never feel this way in any other scenario. When I'm with my mom, it's like An invisible barrier is placed on me. Social barrier, if you will. And I become held back. It's hard to explain. My main point is, do you think I'm valid in my embarrassment and not wanting to be with her in flirtatious opportunities / in public sometimes? Or do I have the issue? Is my perspective valid in relation to flirting with guys and her being around? Note, it's never an issue when I'm out with my mates or by myself. Would like some advice, opinions either way? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Yes. I can see why you would feel humiliated in conversation with her. This is why teens go through the "stop, you're so embarrassing" phase with their parents. It's to differentiate from their folks and make their own social bonds. You need that phase, and you need to get on with being rude to your mom. I think you need a big break from socializing with your mom. You can tell her you need to be treated like an adult, and you can say, "Look, I really don't want you involved in my flirting. It's not okay. It's my turn to figure that out away from you. And I need to be able to have my own conversations without your input. It's too much. And you need to make some boundaries. You can, for instance, not talk to your mom about cute boys. Like, that's for you to keep to yourself. You don't owe her that information. And you aren't having fun. You can also get comfortable with a few phrases to use. Excuse me, I was talking. Please don't interrupt. I wasn't finished speaking. I'm having a conversation here, and I'd like to finish it myself. Mom, stop telling me what to say. You know I'm not comfortable with that. Stop flirting. You can also get up and move away, for instance. If she's chatting with a friend, you guys need space from each other. But yeah, don't be afraid to assert yourself and make a boundary in the moment. Comment 2. I think it's time I really distance myself. Just considering I'm still at home and studying and working, etc., it's a bit hard to tell her with heaps of conviction. Living in the same house definitely has its positives, but at the moment it's hard to get a bloody breather. I think sometimes she definitely does try to live through me, or so she thinks. I think that she thinks I'm not capable of certain things, and thus she's still stuck in protective / overbearing / no boundaries mode. A lot of the time she doesn't realize that I am an adult who's capable of doing things on my own. To put it so incredibly simply, she definitely has a very domineering personality, as you put it. Sometimes she can get very difficult, and when she is, we have some mega blues. I've attempted putting it to her before with no real result. Maybe I'll have to stop going out with her altogether for a while, perhaps even limiting my attendance at certain family things. I don't know. I'll reflect on it. Thanks for commenting. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around after my last post. Yesterday, things escalated in a way I never expected. So, my mom did it again. We were at a family wedding, and I was chatting with this guy I used to know from school. He's changed a lot, in a good way, and we were really hitting it off. Then, out of nowhere, my mom swoops in and starts talking about how I used to have the biggest crush on him back in the day. I was mortified. She just laughed it off, but I could tell he was uncomfortable. And the conversation died right there. But that's not even the worst part. Later, I overheard her bragging to my aunt about how she had to step in because I was making a fool of myself. That hurt. It's like she doesn't trust me to handle my own life. And remember how I mentioned my brother? Well, he's been having trouble at school. And instead of helping him, my mom's been covering for him. She's been doing his homework, even writing his essays. It's not right, and I told her so. She just brushed me off, saying she's doing what's best for him. Then, 2 days ago, my dad found out about the whole school situation. He was furious, not just at my brother, but at my mom for enabling him. They had a huge fight, and my mom stormed out. She stayed at my aunt's place for the night. My dad and I had a long talk about everything, and it felt good to finally be heard. But when my mom came back, she acted like nothing happened. She apologized to my dad, but I could tell it was just for show. She went right back to her old ways, talking over me, meddling in my life. I was at my breaking point. I needed to do something, anything, to make her see how much she was affecting me. So I made a plan. I invited that guy from the wedding over, telling my mom it was just as friends. But when he arrived, I made sure we were alone. No interference. We actually had a great time, and for once, I felt like I was in control. My mom wasn't happy about it, though. She accused me of being sneaky and going behind her back. That's when I finally told her how I felt, how she was smothering me and not letting me grow up. She didn't take it well. She said I was ungrateful and that she was just trying to help. I realized then that nothing I said was going to change her. So I made a decision. I told her that I needed space, that I couldn't keep living like this. And she was shocked, but I stood my ground. I'm staying with a friend for a while, just until things cool down. It's been tough, but I know I did the right thing. I love my mom, but I can't let her control my life anymore. I need to figure out who I am on my own, without her voice always in my ear. Thanks for reading. It means a lot. Aita for saying yes to a proposal. When I wanted to say no, I have been wanting to break up with my boyfriend for a while now. We don't really match well, and I didn't even plan on being in this relationship in the first place. But I am someone who constantly tries to please others and prioritize their feelings over my own. So here we are. It didn't take me long to realize that we were not compatible. About 4 and 5 months into our relationship, I mustered up the courage to end things. Luckily, this was before he moved in with me. So it was a bit easier, although I was incredibly unhappy for weeks. Unfortunately, in an attempt to soften the blow, I suggested that we remain friends. However, this only exposed me to more of his pain and made me feel guilty and ashamed. So, about a month after we broke up, we got back together. I thought being with him was better than being alone. We recently celebrated our 1-year anniversary. I didn't want him to move in with me, but his mother, who was the only family he had nearby, relocated several hours away, and he couldn't support himself financially. I have a close relationship with his parents and siblings. They love me and have always treated me like part of the family. Not too long ago, when we were having dinner, they mentioned how sad they were when we broke up. I brushed it off and acted like it would never happen again. He is deeply in love with me, or at least he thinks he is. I suspect that he is more in love with the stability, the intimacy, the affordable housing, and the fact that I take care of all the household chores. Just to clarify, I don't hate him. He's just not the right person for me. It pains me to even think about causing him so much pain again. I can't continue like this. I believe he might be able to afford a low-quality studio apartment at this point, but I don't know for how long. It would probably take about a week to move him out. How do I break up with him? And not just him, but also his family, whom I deeply love. They were caught off guard the first time, and they will be caught off guard again. How do I handle him still being in the house after we break up? And just to acknowledge my own flaws, yes, I am indecisive and causing harm to both of us the longer I drag this out. Yes, he deserves someone better. I'm aware of this and I will forever be remorseful. Thank you for reading this far. I understand that an essay about a dramatic young gay couple may not be the most exciting literature. Take care. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Breaking up with someone who you house is hard. Be kind to yourself and to him, but do not compromise what you want, to not be dating, and to have him move out. It can be done over a little bit of time, but the intention has to be ripped off quickly like a Band-Aid. You deliver the message. I've been trying to say this for a while, and I'm certain in my decision. We are breaking up, and this living situation must come to an end. I will give you 4 weeks to find something else. Optional to offer a little bit of money to help him find housing, move, if that's possible for you. And you make yourself scarce at home. If you do have somewhere else to stay, go there for the weekend, and do not engage in intimacy, or conversations about love. After a day or two, you can reach out to a couple of family members and say, "We are breaking up and it's a sad time, but I want you to know that I really felt welcomed and cared for by the family. I'm grateful for our time together." Just keep it positive and gratitude-focused. Do not engage in drama. Do not go back and forth with the family. Keep a goal in mind, like, if I run into them in 1 year, I want to be able to say hi with a smile and not avoid them. So keep all your processing to other friendships and just take the high road. I'm sorry. Good luck. Comment 2. Do you want to improve your life and circumstances? It sounds like the answer is yes. If it is, then you have to be prepared to work for it. Step 1 is standing up for yourself, breaking up with him, and sticking to that decision. Emotions come and go. He will whine and cry and guilt you over it. You have to stand strong. You'll never get mentally stronger if you continue to do the exact same things again and again. It has to start somewhere, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Step 2 is to continue this process in every major decision you make. Change doesn't happen overnight, but this has gone too far already. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around. So here's what's been going down. Last month, my boyfriend's sister, who's always been a bit of a chaotic card, decided to throw a surprise engagement party for her girlfriend. The thing is, she wanted to use our place for the event. I wasn't thrilled, but I couldn't say no without causing a scene. The party was over the top, and in the middle of it, my boyfriend got down on one knee and proposed to me. In front of everyone. His family, our friends, even my boss was there. I was cornered, so I said yes. The room erupted in cheers, but I felt sick to my stomach. A week after the proposal, I found out he'd been laid off. He didn't tell me right away, probably because he was scared I'd kick him out. I found the severance papers while I was cleaning up. He'd been pretending to go to work every day, leaving the house, and then coming back when he thought I'd be out. I was mad, not just about the lie, but because it meant he was going to be around the house even more. Then his mom called. She was planning to move back to town because she missed us so much. She said she couldn't wait to help with the wedding plan. I felt trapped, like the walls were closing in on me. I didn't want any of this, but I couldn't find the words to stop it. Things got even more complicated when I got a promotion at work. It was a big deal, more money, more responsibility. But when I told my boyfriend, he just nodded and said it was good news. He didn't seem happy for me. It was like he was just glad that I could support us better now. And then, 2 weeks ago, his sister's engagement fell apart. She showed up at our door crying with all her stuff. She had nowhere else to go, so now she's living with us. It's been chaos. She's always around, asking questions about our wedding, making plans, and I just nod along. I feel like I'm watching someone else's life unfold in front of me. Yesterday, I came home to find my boyfriend and his sister in the middle of a heated argument. Turns out, she'd gone behind our backs and booked a venue for our wedding. A deposit was paid, non-refundable, using the last of my boyfriend's severance. I was furious, but when I looked at him, all I saw was desperation. He was trying to make this grand gesture to show he could contribute to our future. I wanted to scream, to tell them both that there wouldn't be a wedding, that I didn't want any of this. But I didn't. I just went to our room and cried. I don't know how to untangle myself from this mess. I'm stuck in a life I never wanted, and it feels like every attempt to break free just pulls me in deeper. Thanks for reading. It's a mess, I know. Take care. Aita for expecting an apology and financial help for STD treatments. From my boyfriend who never admitted fault. My partner, 35-year-old male, and I, 31-year-old female, have been together for almost 3 years. And during 2.5 years of that time frame, we have been fighting a persistent sexually transmitted disease, STD. I have only ever slept with 3 people other than him. And before we met, I had a test saying I was clean. He has slept with more than 20 people, but he told me he only had unprotected intimacy with serious partners. Fair enough. He also told me he constantly got tested, so when we got serious, I trusted him, and we had unprotected intimacy. 6 months into our relationship, boom, he got symptoms. We got tested, he was positive, I was negative. I found out that one, he had unprotected oral intimacy with some people in the past. And 2, the STD tests he did were not comprehensive at all, since they only cover the bigger STDs. And what he got was one of the rarer ones, so he never actually tested for that while I did. Then we began treatment immediately. But it turned out the STD showed some kind of resistance, because after the initial treatment, his symptoms kept coming back, albeit the tests showing negative. During the next 2.5 years, he had to deal with persistent symptoms, mainly redness, itchiness. Not life-threatening, but enough to turn one off. So we kept getting retested every 4 months and made sure to only have protected intimacy. In total, maybe we did 6 rounds of tests over 2.5 years. He was positive twice, I was positive once. But every single round of tests, both of us ended up taking antibiotics. As recommended by doctors, since he still had symptoms and the chance of false negative with this STD is particularly high. So it took a physical toll on us too. In the first year, I did not complain nor blame him at all. STDs can happen to anyone, I thought. No need for the blame game. I went to and paid for my own treatments. After the first year passed and I realized that this is more complicated than I thought, I started feeling resentful because, 1, he initially did not apologize for having given me the STD. 2, he never offered to pay for my treatment, or at least go with me to see the doctor. And 3, it took a heavy toll on our intimacy life. He never initiated intimacy anymore, and I felt so unwanted. We also couldn't do lots of fun stuff to make sure we're not reinfecting each other. At some point, he couldn't get hard nor had the drive anymore. We even had to schedule intimacy. He just cannot be spontaneous anymore with me. He assured me he hasn't lost attraction, and it's the mental block due to the STD causing it. He's an amazing guy, and it was my decision to go through this with him. But I felt like he did not appreciate enough my sacrifices. He never said, "Sorry for putting you through this," or "Thanks for facing this together with me," even though all of this was because of the STD he brought into the relationship due to his carelessness. The first time he said sorry was when I finally confronted him, after the 4th round of tests or so. And I felt so fed up, not my best moment, admittedly, and asked, "Are you even sorry?" And he said yes. As of now, we still have not yet seen the end of the tunnel because the doctor messed up the last test, so that it was inconclusive and we might have to undergo another test/treatment. I'm tired of being in this situation for so long, feeling unwanted and unappreciated, being scared for my health, and not knowing when we can finally have normal intimacy again. We have had many fights lately because I have been telling him how I feel, and he did not take it well, and it feels like he's being blamed for the whole situation. If the situation was reversed, and I accidentally gave my partner an STD, I would immediately apologize, show gratitude if he sticks around, and make sure to make it up to him. And I became resentful because he's doing none of that. I just want some acknowledgement, I guess. In his defense, his situation was worse because he actually had symptoms and I didn't. He's also the one who lost his intimacy drive, and he said, "I'm making it all about me," even though he has it worse. He said, "Just deal with the fact that we might have to deal with this a bit longer, or just leave him altogether. But if I decide to stay, I should not be resentful, nor demand further apologies, nor gratitude from him." I agree with the apologies. I also don't want him to keep saying sorry, but I feel like him showing a bit more gratitude in this situation would go a long way in helping me deal with the resentment. So who's in the right here? And if it's my partner, how do I make myself less resentful? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Why are you still with a person that gave very little thought and still gives very thought about your health? Your resentment will only balloon into hatred if you keep heading in this direction. Love yourself to want better, rather than stay with someone who lied hand has no remorse. I wonder if he'd stay if the situation was reversed. Comment 2. No. He hasn't once shown any remorse for infecting you, and his drug-resistant illness that he brought into the relationship is destroying your life. Don't stick around for any more of this. He may never be rid of this. Is this what you want the rest of your life to be? You deserve better. Now for the update. Thank you for sticking around for this update. A lot has happened since the last post. Just when I thought things couldn't get more strained, my partner lost his job. The company he worked for went under, and with it, our financial stability. It was a blow, especially with the medical bills piling up. He became more withdrawn, and I found myself juggling my job, our finances, and the emotional labor of keeping us both afloat. In the midst of this, a friend of mine, who knew nothing of our situation, invited us to her wedding. It was supposed to be a joyous occasion, but it turned into the event that brought everything to a head. At the wedding, I watched couples dance and share intimate moments, and it hit me how much we had lost. I felt a pang of jealousy, which quickly turned into shame. I didn't want to feel this way about my partner, but I couldn't help it. After the wedding, on the drive home, silence filled the car. It was then that my partner finally opened up. He admitted that he had been feeling inadequate and ashamed since losing his job, and that it compounded the guilt he already felt about our ongoing health issue. He confessed that he had been avoiding intimacy because he didn't feel like he deserved it, not because he wasn't attracted to me. This confession led to a long, overdue conversation. I told him about my feelings of resentment and how I needed more support, both emotionally and financially. It was a tough talk, but it was necessary. We agreed to start therapy, both as a couple and individually, to work through our issues. Therapy was a turning point. We learned to communicate better and to support each other in ways we hadn't before. My partner started doing freelance work to help with the bills, and I saw a side of him that was proactive and determined. It was a side I hadn't seen in a long time. Then came the moment that changed everything. During one of our sessions, the therapist asked my partner to express his gratitude towards me. He broke down, apologizing for all the pain he had caused and thanking me for standing by him. It was the acknowledgement I had been craving, and it lifted a weight off my shoulders. We continued therapy, and slowly our relationship began to heal. We learned to find joy in the small things, like cooking dinner together or watching a movie on the couch. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. The final test results came back, and they were negative. We were both clear of the STD. It felt like a fresh start, a chance to move forward without the shadow of illness hanging over us. As for the resentment, it's still a work in progress. But with therapy and open communication, it's getting better. We're learning to forgive and to rebuild the trust that was lost. Thank you for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.